And she was like, "What are you doing tomorrow?" I'm like, "I don't know." And she's like, "Well, I know what you're doing tomorrow. You're having breakfast with Christopher Sabat." And I was like,
What? Hey, welcome to this episode of Baka Boys.
"Bye, bye, bye."
I'm JP Tronwalker, and this is BeeRye. I don't know what he's doing. He's channeling his inner Danny DeVito.
Hey.
So on this episode, we're gonna do something a little different. We are going to look at tattooers that we look up to a little bit, and just
Yep.
kind of like look at their pieces, break them down a little bit, say a lot of rad, nice shit about how cool they are.
Absolutely. All right.
So,
Break
all
your
right.
phone.
So our
We
first,
have a couple of them lined up just because
so our first,
we wanna.
our first tattooer is gonna be Hey There Jenny on Instagram. She's one of both Brian and I's favorite tattooers.
Probably one of my favorite artists that got me so excited to start tattooing in
Yeah,
general.
such a unique, dynamic style, and like what's really cool. We talked about it in the last episode. We were like talking about raw drawing. So a lot of tattooers do Frankensteining, which is nothing wrong with, but a lot of there are tattooers to do raw draws where everything's very unique, so you have a lot more freedom with style. And Hey There Jenny is one of those tattooers. She also like her style is kind of reminiscent of Brand Doom, who's another one of my favorite tattooers. They got very similar styles, but
Yes, I believe they were working together for a little bit.
so what we have here is an inner arm tattoo of Gear 5 Luffy. Um, and it's very dynamic composition. She got like kind of the entire body in there, which is
And
really
the
awesome.
character of the character of the character, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like
And
he's supposed to be made of rubber, so like his limbs are going all over the place, and
yes,
it's hyper dynamic.
yeah. So she really pulled off like instead of just like sort of like a stoic pose that could kind of work for any character, she really brought sort of the goofiness of that character into it, which is awesome because he's a really goofy character. And if you've seen that fight scene where he goes Gear 5, it's almost reminiscent of something from like Looney Tunes. So to kind of embody that is really cool.
Also, side note, I hate that they're doing this 1,100 episodes into their anime because I actually want to see this anime nowadays.
Like
I see these fight scenes with Gear 5 Luffy, and I'm like, this is what we've been waiting for years. And now we're just getting it. And I was just like, I still haven't seen it. I probably never will. But like, I was just like, fuck, now of all, like this, we're doing
the time.
Now's the time. Cool.
Now, we've all seen a very similar Gear 5 Luffy, the one with the hand over his eyes. So a lot of people have done that same one, but hers is kind of incredible. So, all right. So like first thing I look for when I'm looking at a tattoo is composition. Like how does she fit the tattoo to the body part?
Composition, I feel like, is one of the cornerstones of what makes a great tattoo a stellar tattoo. And with this piece that she did, it kind of ticks off every single box.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's like perfect use of the part of the body. Now, if I'm looking at it right now, and it looks like an inner arm, and as any tattooer knows, that's a really difficult area to get, especially up near the armpit. There's usually a lot of redness and
Is it
inflammation.
really an inner arm?
It looks like it to me, like looks like an inner arm.
Oh, I thought it was like the side of a calf.
So, and I could be wrong, maybe, but it looks like an inner arm to me, but it looks like an armpit right there. But
okay. Or just a hairy back of the knee.
But like right off the bat, looking at it, the composition, super, super spot on. Really smooth color transitions, solid line work, of course. But I love her line weight from like
nothing,
thick to nothing.
Yeah. Like I don't, and when right before she gets to nothing, she even like colors her lines, so it kind of pushes it back even further.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Her and Brandon do that a lot. Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
Like, all right, so I'm gonna hand this over to Brian and let him kind of pick some things out on it. I've zoomed in on the stuff that I love the most, but like let Brian take a peek at it.
I am a sucker for composition.
Same. That's that's what I look for immediately.
The crazy thing about this tattoo, honestly, is probably the color theory, because she definitely used 2 different shades of gray in his shirt and in his cloudy hair. She used this different shade of gray, but when she brings it out to like the skin tone, it almost looks like a different color because of the different grays that she used. So the skin tone even looks different. Like the skin tone in the hair looks whiter than the skin tone of the jacket part because she knows what the fuck she's doing.
Yeah, and what's crazy too about tattoos like this, where there's a lot of use of white in a character, you got to be like really,
you need to work with depth.
yeah,
as well.
very considerate of your contrasting colors, and almost use a good amount of negative space to your strengths. A lot of people will make the mistakes, and I know I've done this before, of just trying to pack in as much light color as you can instead of using the skin tone to your advantage. And she's a master at that. I look at a lot of her work when it comes to certain characters that I take on. I'll be like, all right, how did she pull this off? I'll kind of like, take some notes and stuff. But yeah, she's definitely one of my favorite tattooers who deserves a lot more eyes on her. So
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so check out in the link below. Hey there, Jenny, an incredible tattooer. She's out of California, like
somewhere in California, somewhere in SoCal, I think.
Yeah, so
or it
check
could be
her out.
wrong, so I don't know.
Yeah, and then also check out Brand Doom if you like her work too. Like they're both incredible tattooers. All right, next one.
This is one of my personal favorites. I've been a fan of her for years. Her name is the Shirush. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Her name is Shir, and she's reigning in from Israel, and she does a lot of pop culture tattoos, very cute, very pop art like. And again, she's another one of those artists that she raw draws everything.
We'll have to put that on a t-shirt. Raw draw.
Yeah, raw draw. And she'll come up with an idea, and she's like, yeah, that sounds about right, and then she'll just make a tattoo out of it. And I'm like, you fuck.
So I don't know her artwork, I don't think. So I'm actually excited to see
her stuff. She's one of my favorites. So this one that I just happened to pull up is just an example of like how like her artwork, her style and everything, and the colors that she uses. Right now I'm looking at a Stitch from Lilo and Stitch and Pikachu.
Of course.
Pretty much being homies.
Two cutest characters from different parts of the world.
Yeah. Right off the bat, the contrasting colors I see is like the blue and the yellows, and everything is just like hyper vibrant, and just like everything about this tattoo, man. Like the colors that she uses greens in Stitch's like forehead to like show like there's like a warm tone in the tattoo. She has like green background. She added stars, and it's just a really well done tattoo. It's one of the cutest tattoos that I've seen her do, and I absolutely love
I gotta see this. I would say I love doing green on blue to yellow.
Yeah,
to show warmth. Yeah, that's fucking rad. That is a good tattoo. This is awesome. I love the background stuff too. I love doing that sort of like
mint.
Yeah, that like minty seafoamy into a yellow color in the background. Yeah, no, this is a super solid tattoo. Contrast is fantastic. Like I love the slight purples and pinks and the shadows of Pikachu and stuff. Like I do that a lot. It kind of pushes things back a little bit, but kind of keeps it really rich in color. Yeah, she's a solid tattooer. I can't believe I haven't seen more of this.
Yeah, a lot of her stuff she's doing reels, so I can't find like a solid. It's hard to find a solid picture.
Oh, I'm looking at her Courage the Cowardly Dog tattoo.
It's incredible, is it not?
Amazing, dude. Oh my God.
She also has a burger tattoo.
Dude, the way that she pushes back Muriel and Eustace's house in the background, doesn't use any hard black lines, so it kind of it puts that focal point back. It's
and she outlines Courage. I remember this tattoo. She outlines Courage in like that seafoam green-ish kind of color to really just hit the nail on the head, man. Like it's such a good tattoo.
So the Shirush.
The Shirush, and then the links down below. You'll see it.
Links down below.
I can't really
check her out. Incredible tattoo artist.
Absolutely incredible.
And then going on to we'd mentioned this guy in our previous episode. This guy is Chris Rogers Tattoo. So I had the privilege of working with him for a few months at the first shop I got into when I moved out here. He's one of, I feel like this guy should have all the followers in the world. Such an
Mm.
incredible tattoo artist. I look at this guy's work constantly. He's so fucking phenomenal. So I'm just gonna pull a tattoo that jumps out at me.
And
It's
here we
all
go.
of them.
I'm trying to rummage
It's
through all the amazing artwork.
it's all of his work. Like I
just
love.
literally do one of these where you just like flick and then land on one.
All right, so I'll pick this one. So he's got a Pikachu and Ash Ketchum piece, and one of my favorite takes on his tattoo, like way that I like to describe things that I like. I'm super basic. I was like, it's fun.
Mhm.
If I can say it's fun, I love it. And this tattoo, you can tell is a unique take. It's very stylized. It's not just an anime like
Mhm.
draw over. It is 100% from this dude's head. And I love the background color that he uses. It's very watercolory. He's got some sort of sketchy lines and stuff like that, but it's not overdone. I feel like I've seen a few tattooers that do this kind of style, and it's just overdone. And sometimes they'll use this style as a way of covering up like bad line work or things like that, but not Chris Rogers. Like this guy is clean across the board. I've seen heel outs in person.
He's probably
Like,
one of the best watercolor artists
yeah. And what I
in the
love
game.
what I love about the richness of his color is like I feel like it's more concentrated colors and not so much black, but just really rich concentrated colors. And I love how like he's very signature with like a pink light source and a green light source.
Yeah, that's kind of
Like
his thing.
yeah, it's really awesome, and he'll put like really cool highlights and even mix in like sketchy watercolor stuff throughout the design, but still not overdone, but just a nice touch. All right,
And
so I'm gonna hand this over to
I've seen
Brian.
I've seen him work, and the amount of ink that he, oh, man, yeah, I
That's
forgot
so
about this
good.
take.
It's
The
so
amount of
good.
ink that he just puts on his mayo tray, like he just has like these giant pools of like ink. Like the ink caps are like the extra large ones, and I'm like, Jesus, what are you using that for? And he's like, for my big ass mag, because he uses like a 27
Yeah,
mag, and I'm like,
it'll speed
fuck,
things up a little bit when you go big like that.
yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, again, the tattoo itself is very stylized, and it's clearly he clearly drew this. It's just an incredibly done tattoo. Like with Pikachu on Ash's head, you can see the camaraderie and the friendship of these two characters in this piece. The colors are just fucking
Yeah,
crazy, dude.
he's
It's absolutely
he's so
insane.
good.
No, it's a great tattoo. Very well done. And again, the composition with the lines that he used in the background, it fits the body part. No, this looks like the front of a thigh. So yeah, it fits the body part like really, really well. Very, very well done.
Yeah.
Chris Rogers, man.
So Chris Rogers, you can find him at the. We're gonna post a link
We're
below.
yeah, links down below just
Yeah.
to check these three artists out. I think we're gonna do this more often, just
Definitely.
giving like shout outs. And also if you want us to possibly critique a tattoo that you've ever done, you're more than welcome to send us any pieces that you want critiqued. We will not chew it up. We will do it in a healthy manner because we're not assholes. We're just gonna like we'll give you like pointers on things that you do really, really well and things that you need a little bit of work on.
Kind critiquing.
Yeah, kind critiquing.
Kind
We're not
critiquing.
gonna
We want to encourage you guys.
yeah. So again, if you are starting off, or if you're not, if you're like 20 years in the game and you still want like a critique, like a legitimately honest critique, please send in your pieces, and then we'll give you a shout out if you want it, or just send us a piece and you're like, don't mention me, just I want your critique. We'll do that as well. So whatever you want. But thank you very much.
Yeah. So, so now that you heard us gush over that, and we'd like to see your work as well, send it to Brian's Discord.
Oh yeah.
What is it
So
called?
I have a Discord. The Discord link is down below. I don't know what it's called, but
It'll be down below.
We're doing this live.
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
We'll do it live. I do have a Discord down below where you can send your images to. And then from there, we will critique every.
Yeah.
We'll
Well,
try to get
a
through.
kind critiquing.
Yeah, kind critiquing. So yeah, send them down below, and then we'll hop to it.
Hell yeah. So the cool thing is like we just all of these tattooers they're doing pop culture tattoos, which is awesome
Hmm.
because that's kind of what I'd want to talk about is pop culture tattooing and how it's blown up over time. When I first got into tattooing or even wanted to get into tattooing, it was not really a thing.
It
Like,
was, yeah. No, I remember when I first started getting into tattooing that they told me not to hold my breath. They
yeah,
were like, you're not gonna. This is not gonna be your thing. You might as well just stick to regular like skulls, roses, and American flags or
yeah.
whatever.
But we're like, and it was funny. We talked about this a little bit, but it was like, so I remember when I was on my apprenticeship journey. So this would be 2012, 2011, 2012 is when I was really on my apprenticeship journey, and I was like working on my art portfolio, going to tattooers, tattoo shops, people that were tattooing me. I was asking questions, and I was like, "Well, here's what I'm working on," and very consistently, I got told like, "Well, no one's gonna want like Venom or Goku," because I was mostly drawing comic book and anime stuff, and they're like, "You draw roses, draw clipper ships, draw eagles. You know, that's what
Hmm.
people want." So I really leaned into that, and I started drawing that kind of stuff, and it's crazy because like over time, I watched so many pop culture tattooers just blow up. And now I feel like, you know, people are getting tattoos that still mean something to them, but they're doing it where it's more of a personal thing. Um, Whereas before you were getting something that had meaning, but it had meaning to the people that you were showing your tattoo to. Like you were
Hmm.
explaining to your parents, where you're like, well, the dream catcher means this, or the eagle means this, you know? And you're like, well, that doesn't mean, you know, that may not always mean something to you, but you were trying to you were getting tattooed almost for other people. That's not the case for everybody, of course.
Mm.
There are plenty of people who have those tattoos that want them for themselves. But I think that there are people that were a little bit ashamed to get, like, they're like, oh man, I want Naruto. But I feel like that's kind of goofy.
Yeah, I
Like,
actually had somebody recently that messaged me and they're like, "Oh, I'm not entirely sure because my family like they're not the keenest on tattoos, and if I just get a cartoon on me, like they're gonna think even less of me."
yeah,
And I'm like, "That's not how you should be looking at this.
it's not about
Like
them.
it's that yeah, and also yeah, they're not the ones getting tattooed. You're getting tattooed, and a lot of people I know that is a huge hoop to jump through when it comes to family. But at the end of the day, you're not living for your family. I'm not trying to like
I'm not trying
spark
to
any.
dad you.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not trying to spark any like heated debates between you and your family. But at the end of the day,
Thanksgiving 2024
yeah,
arguments
it's like
ensue.
this dude, oh
The Baka
fucking
Boys
Baka
said.
Boys.
They said kind of like fuck you.
So like I don't know what to fucking
I
tell
got
you, dude.
Sasuke, you know.
Yeah,
Like,
I got fucking Pikachu on my arm because they
I'm
told
ta-
me that it was fine.
I'm tattooing a Pikachu next week, actually.
Are you really? I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of jealous.
Huge side of the leg tattoo.
Hell
But
yeah,
anyways,
dude.
continue.
But yeah, nowadays it's a lot more accepted, obviously,
Hmm.
and people realize. I think it's because people realize that you can tattoo these characters. Before it was just like very, very like almost like a stamp. It's like, and it was just like a screenshot of something you saw on Looney Tunes or like
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, and it's just like a happily done, like just like a
Well, I got
okay, this
turned
is the
away a
character.
lot for cartoon characters. You know, I was like my one of my not first, probably third or fourth tattoo. It's a wolf from the anime Wolf's Rain,
Hmm.
and I remember bringing that, and the guy was just like, "Well, you can't really tattoo like that." So he did like I don't even know what style you would call it,
Yeah.
a 2009 tattoo style of like a wolf that didn't look anything like it came from the anime. Um, and I was like, oh yeah, well I guess it's inspired by an anime, so I guess I'll roll with it.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like absolutely I'll tattoo that on you, you know.
Hmm.
So it's so rad to kind of see how that shift has happened, because I think most importantly, you get tattoos. A lot of people get tattoos because it means something to them, right? And I feel like what society thought of cartoon, anime, pop culture tattoos is like, well, it's like a fictional thing or whatever. So then you're like, oh, well, I got like an owl because it means this in some, religion or whatever. And you're
Mhm.
like, that's cool. I have an owl on my arm, so that's why I'm saying it.
Yeah.
So you're like looking for like, well, there's a deeper meaning, and it's like a 500-year-old thing, so it's deep. And then I realized I was like, dude, I don't fucking care. Like, I grew up, I love Pokemon. I'm gonna get a Pokemon tattoo. That's my childhood.
And
That's what I attach myself to.
and a lot of people don't realize that where like you have like these 500-year-old meanings about an owl on your arm. It's like, okay, well, this character from this anime represents something that I hold dear, or like a part of their, of their personality, like really speaks to me, and it's something that I try to live by. If anybody knows me, people know that I absolutely love Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
And I live by, every now and again, I am put into a situation where I'm like, what would Steve Rogers do in this situation? And I'm like, he would do it this way. So I'm going to try to emulate that. And if honestly, it's made me like a better person trying to emulate a hero of mine, whether he's fictional or not.
Mm-hmm.
And it has the same effect on me that like some real person may have an effect on you. So like, who's to say that my tattoo is not a good idea and yours is?
Yeah, like I mean, I think too, like when someone's like, "Well, I got like this like Greek god on me" or something like that, and I'm like, just because it's old doesn't necessarily mean it makes it more legitimate, I guess. Like the meaning and the symbolism can still be there. Like for me, like Tanjiro, he's a relatively new character in anime and manga, but his symbolism, his meaning, his perseverance, his overcoming is, to me, it's on the same level as like what the Odyssey was. The only thing that the Odyssey has is just it's much older.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a
And it's
hero's
perceived
journey. Yeah.
as something greater than
Yeah, because
something else.
it's transcended, So I love that pop culture tattooing and has sort of taken over, and I love that there's so many people out there that feel comfortable expressing themselves very proudly. We do a lot of forearm tattoos, a lot of like very visible tattoos of these anime characters,
Mm.
and it's like these people's like sort of like calling card to the world where it's like, this is what I'm about and I'm
Mhm.
proud about it, and that's fucking rad.
And the people who get it should be proud about it as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, like you putting fucking Squidward. Also, if anybody gets a Squidward tattoo, I am 100% down. That's number one.
Brian's a
Like,
testament to what we're talking about. By the way, he's got
I got Star Wars
Star
on one
Wars.
arm and Marvel on the other arm.
He's got Nova. He's got
Star-Lord,
Star-Lord.
Nova, Hulk. Thor.
Questionably, he's got Tony Stark on him.
He's a great character. Is he not? He's an amazing character.
We can have like
A
I'm
hero?
afraid to go down that path. You and I can have an entire episode
No, I
about
know.
the critique of that.
He's an amazing character.
Where's your Captain America tattoo?
On my leg, which is not finished.
Uh-huh.
I want to.
He has
I have a shield.
He has 23% of a shield.
Well, because it was supposed to be like a portrait of like with him like going. It was an Alex Ross.
He has
piece.
2 points of a 5-point star.
Yes. However, but it was
Yes.
supposed to be. It was supposed to be a whole portrait of him, and things didn't pan out that way. And I still want it. I still want the portrait, but either
Moral
way,
of the story, he's a representation of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like he said, fuck it. These characters have shaped
these characters are incredible, and I love the characters. I love what they represent, and I love the universe that they reside in. And I may not like the direction that certain things are going now because of horrible storytelling, but I still love the universe.
You loved Loki, though. We both loved Loki.
Loki's great.
Yeah, that was phenomenal.
However, but Star Wars, dude, like the fucking dropping the ball now. But
Andor is our beacon of light.
but it still represents my love and how I cherish these universes, and that's a part of me, just because I say I got Yoda because he's cool. That could be just the reason.
Oh, I think that
You
the
know?
more tattoos you get, I mean, I've seen memes about it where it's like your first tattoo, it's like, I got a dream catcher because it represents this, and you go down the list of like
He keeps
things
saying
it means.
Dreamcatcher because I totally have a Dreamcatcher tattoo.
But
He was just
and
like,
then
I don't know,
and then
a Dreamcatcher.
and then 20 tattoos later, you're like,
I have.
I got a hot dog because I like hot dogs.
That's funny you say that because when Sheer comes to the U.S. at some
She's doing
point,
a hot dog on
she's
you.
tattooing a hot dog on me
Fuck
because
yeah.
she tattooed a burger on some other dude, and that burger is the best burger tattoo I've ever seen. And I was like,
I want a hot dog.
I want a fucking hot dog. Give me a hot dog like that.
I love that tattoos get funner. The more you get them, you're just like, fuck it. Like, yeah,
Fuck it, I'm getting a hot dog.
I got this. I got this symbolic like wolf howling at the fucking moon
Because it's supposed to represent courage, and I think I'm the man of the house, and I feel like I need the courage. I'm like, shut the fuck
20
up.
tattoos later, you're like,
I got Doodle Bob.
Doodle Bob. Why'd
Yeah.
you get Doodle Bob? I like that
He's
episode
cool.
of SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So I guess like coming out of that, what I love that I've seen happen is like there's a switch in the tattoo world where it's like when you've gotten the tattooing, you needed to kind of be a jack of all trades. You need to sort of dip your toes into everything, traditional, neo-trad, tribal. Weirdly, I've done tribal tattoos. Fortunately, you came into a time where you probably didn't.
No,
have
I
to
did some.
You did, okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I remembered
I did an
having to do
armband.
that shit, and I was like, I'm really sad about this. I'm not the guy to do this, but
Yeah.
you had to wear that. You had to wear all those hats. And what's cool now is you can be just a pop culture tattoo artist, an anime tattoo artist.
Now,
Yeah,
there's a little bit of balance.
we worked for it, but
We worked for it, and also there is a benefit to learning other ways to tattoo,
oh, absolutely.
and then you could take those tools and then use them towards the tattoo. Like now, if you're starting off and you're like, okay, I'm only gonna do anime. I'm like, well, you pump the brakes a little bit. You need to learn like the fundamentals, and you can find those fundamentals in other styles of tattooing, rather than just going for the gold immediately.
That's tough. That's interesting. I talked to John about that a little bit on the Unemployable podcast.
Shout out to those guys. They're really
Those
really
guys
cool.
are rad. John, Cam, hi, I love you guys.
Well, maybe not so much Cam. Anyway, just kidding.
I
You're
love
cool
you, Cam,
too.
even though John rips on you. But no, I think that it's interesting because like there are certain things where it's like I feel like you're holding people back a little bit by being like, well, you have to do this other shit. If it's not it's like me going to like college, and like if I'm going to college for psychology and like what you got to do like 3 years of math, and I'm like, cool, but
What does that
that
have to do
won't
with-
do shit for me when it comes to psychology or whatever,
Well, I think that's a false equivalency because the other styles of tattooing, however you might want to see it, can always end up benefiting you.
Some
in the long-
I'll agree, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying you have to force people. If I'm not going to force you to do anything. However, your life might be a little bit easier if you find these.
You wouldn't. Older school tattooers, like when I came up into it, I remember there was like people that would want tattoos, like and this was a real thing that I had to do. It was geometric, half geometric, black and gray lion, other half watercolor, black and gray watercolor.
I immediately know which tattoo you're talking
Yeah,
about.
and I've
not
I've
yours,
done,
but I've seen it.
I've done it, and so the hard part. So I did fine line tattooing before I got into doing like anime, and even though I wanted to do anime and pop culture, I was told that wasn't possible to just have a clientele that I couldn't just fill my books with that.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that was not true. But so the cool thing is, to your credit, like with what you're saying is like, yes, doing fine line tattooing did help me with anime tattooing a lot. A lot of the facial details use extra tight 3s, extra tight 5s, and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's good to be articulate with your line work in that way. Certain styles that I could have learned like with like traditional tattooing, pulling bold, clean lines and stuff like that. That's cool. but I can learn that if I had just, you know, hit the road with doing anime from the get-go. A lot of those techniques are still there, and I feel like if I had just been ushered into that, you know, no, I'm not against the apprenticeship I had or anything like that, but I'm just saying like there's just certain things that I feel like could potentially hold somebody back unless they, you know, a lot of the fundamentals I think are in anime tattooing or pop culture tattooing.
Yes, I totally agree what you're saying, but also at the same time, if you want something more like a lot when it comes to tattooing, you don't want to like it's impossible to hit the ground running
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, unless you're a plushie.
unless you're yeah,
That guy
fuck you, dude.
funk you.
Funk you. Shut the funk
Funk.
up.
If you don't
Yeah,
follow
fuck you,
plushie, by the way, Plushie Inc. is fantastic. But
Yeah, it's
that
really
dude
stupid.
came
Or
right- Roy,
Fuck
yeah.
you, Roy. Fuck both of you.
We're only saying fuck you guys because you're so good.
Yeah, you're amazing.
But they did come out of the gates
like
doing
just
the thing.
hit the ground
like,
running.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like most 99% of us, we don't hit the ground running, and
No.
we need some basic like. Yes, I was at a tattoo shop that was right next to Disney. So guess what I used to do a lot of? Fucking the Mickey Mouse.
Oh, of course.
But what did that teach me?
Clean-
A lot.
It
Stupid clean lines because there are three perfect circles.
Perfect circles.
Three perfect
And then
circles.
solid packing.
And then solid packing. And that like it was monotonous and time consuming, and I hated every single second of it. But once I got that down, like once I did my 1,000th fucking Mickey Mouse head, like circle, whatever the fuck, I was like, I started getting better and better at anime. I can do them both technically at the same time. Like I
Yeah.
can do like a Mickey Mouse thing, and then the next day I can do whatever. But by the 30th or 40th time I did that Mickey Mouse silhouette, I can noticeably
I just see
personally see a difference in my work that I actually cared about.
I just see like the Karate Kid, the wax on, wax off thing.
Yeah.
And you like
And it
but
works.
that Mickey Mouse logo
Yeah,
is
that was my wax on,
your
wax
wax
off
and
moment.
you're like
It truly was, because I'm like fucking like at first my heart was going like a million miles a minute because I'm like three perfect circles. Are you kidding me?
yeah.
And I was just like, and it looked like shit. Fine. The next one comes.
A
And
little less like
a
shit.
little less like shit. By the 50th time of me doing that tattoo, it was honestly incredible. And by the time I started getting really into anime tattoos,
I just see you as
my
that, like,
line work was great, and my color packing was solid because of these stupid ass Mickey Mouse tattoos.
So, do you want me to do a Mickey Mouse tattoo on you?
No, I really don't. I
Just as a
all here.
reminder. You know, like,
No, it's here. I don't need to be
get
reminded.
it like on your thumb. You're just like, oh yeah, that's where I came from.
Yeah.
Like,
But like it truly helps. And like if I were to just immediately go into anime tattoos, I might not do the best anime tattoos. And me personally, this is how I think, it would be very disheartening to see
Yeah.
my work not go as well as I want it to.
I think it's a balance of like, you know, doing something like what's funny is we just talked about this on the last episode about balances and stuff like that, where it's like doing the thing that teaches you, but also giving you enough of what encourages you to keep
Yeah.
pushing forward and stuff. Because you came up really fast in the tattoo world. Like when I first met you,
I was still an apprentice.
you were a tattoo apprentice, and funnily it was really funny because you came to the shop I was working at the time,
Mhm.
and the tattooer there thought you were there to
For
meet
him?
him. He was like,
I was like,
because
I
he was
like,
a
I'm
big
actually-
name tattooer.
Yeah, I don't
He
give a
thought
fuck.
you
I
were-
was he was like showing me stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. I was actually here for
Me.
JP, and he was like, oh, well, I taught him that. I'm like, oh,
Aw,
okay.
Brian was a JP fan.
Oh yeah, I was. I looked at your stuff and I was like, this guy's incredible.
And then he got to know me, and he's like, wow, this guy is
He's
a
a chode.
jabroni. He just... Did you say chode?
Yeah.
A chode brony.
a chode brony.
But no, it was cool because yeah, like I kind of got to. It's really rad when you like watch somebody's rise. You know, you like
Mhm.
you see where they started and where they're at, and you just kind of like watch that evolution happen. And you're like, dude, that's really fucking rad. And I've seen it a couple times, and it's really rad.
I'm doing it right now with my beautiful wife.
What?
Oh, with their voice acting.
Mika, she's a voice actor. I was like, I don't know where you're going with this.
She's my apprentice now.
I was like, is this like a boner joke? your rise, I'm doing it now with my wife. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
No, my wife is becoming a voice actress, and I saw her at the beginning, and now I'm slowly seeing her.
For those of you that are just listening, Tabs is on side stage right now. So that's awesome. No, but that's awesome. It's cool to kind of see that. It's cool to see it too. Like I see Tabs doing the cool shit, getting named characters. I didn't even at the time I didn't even know that was like. I was like, I didn't realize that that's a plateau. That's like a new. Yeah, I think it's a new level. That's really rad.
I truly think that I felt it. I think the first time. Well, not the first time, but like one of the biggest times where I'm like, oh, this is actually a big thing, is when she called me, and she was like, what are you doing tomorrow? I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, well, I know what you're doing tomorrow. You're having breakfast with Christopher Sabat. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, we're homies, and you're having breakfast with us in Tampa.
And then he called me the exact same way.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, man, what are you doing tomorrow?
I was on my way home from tattooing. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, I don't know. I'm not to check with man. He's like, you don't. You're having breakfast with Christopher Sabat in Tampa.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, even if I had something going on, that's what I'm doing instead. Like, that's 100%. And there's only a few things in my life I wake up early for and I'm excited about. That was one of those days.
Yeah.
That was a cool. Thank you, Tabs. Tabs officiated that.
Yeah. A thing that I'm not usually super excited to wake up for so early in the morning is probably I don't know, a podcast. John, fucking 4 o'clock in the morning. Dude, it's like, hey, you want to come all the way to Miami?
He's like 9 a.m. and I'm like, that sucks. And then I saw how far it was. I was like, wow, that really fucking sucks, dude.
I have to wake up at 4 in the morning. Granted, it's not his fault that I live in Orlando. But still,
it's his fault. It's
his fault. It's his fault that he has it at 9 a.m. And it's also his fault that he got us on there in the first place.
We had a blast.
It's like, why did you?
For those of you that don't know who Christopher Sabat is, by the way, he's the voice of your Vegeta, childhood. Piccolo, All Might, Armstrong,
Shenron, Zoro.
The list is 400 characters long, by the way.
Yeah.
That was just some of the highlights. But yeah. He's one of probably the most prolific voice actor.
He might be the
next
largest.
to Mark Hamill, some of those big names.
He's definitely top dog for anime.
100%.
He is 100%. Christopher Sabat. If you have him on your project, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. It's top tier dude right there. But it's so cool. I love that integration of pop culture in the tattooing and kind of seeing how that bleeds over and stuff. I remember we did a couple of panels and stuff. And but in my brain, every time we do a panel or anything like that, I'm like, I'll just be stoked if 8 people show up. And if those 8 people are our friends, that's cool too. And then we'll do it. It's
always packed.
And there's a lot of fucking people and we have a blast. And we actually end up getting a really good arguments with the crowd.
Yeah. It's kind of awesome. We'll just pick a really polarizing topic and then
Iron Man versus Captain America.
Yeah. The obvious answer is Captain America, but people who are wrong always choose Iron Man. I'm like, what is your fucking stupid ass reasoning?
I love riling people up where I'm like, I wish this panel lasted for 3 hours. but yeah, no, it's just so cool to kind of see that integration of pop cultures. I feel like when, tattooers back in the day, it was you're a tattooer. That's it. You're just, and I could be wrong, but for the most part, from what I've seen, that's what it was,
But that kind of just harks back to our conversation that we had a little bit ago about tattoo artists also becoming influencers.
Yeah.
But in this sense, it could be a positive thing, especially if we're tattooing pop culture and we're kind of engrossed in the essence of what pop culture actually is. Because at the end of the day, it is still culture. It's not just, oh yeah, this guy loves fucking cartoons. He doesn't love fucking cartoons. He just loves cartoons. Let me just make that
Fucking
clear.
cartoons might be a thing in like 10 years. I promise you,
Honestly,
VR
like
is going to be a thing.
I wouldn't be surprised.
We've all seen Cyberpunk or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
yeah.
The
I was
anime.
like, we all saw it, and I was like, yeah, that's the future.
I was just like, and there's tits in that anime. It's pretty sweet.
But it's like it's like, well, how you advertise something is like, is there nudity in violence and animation? Like, yeah, I was like, all right, I'm sold. Yeah, I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
you got me.
But when it comes to like pop culture, it's like it's a community, you know, it's society. So when people are like, "Oh, pop culture, you just love like cartoon," I was like, "No, this is way bigger than you and I." You know
I
what I
would
mean?
invite anybody to go to a convention that isn't involved in that kind of community just to kind of check it out and just go in with an open mind. Like, you will see some of like people who are just genuinely happy just being themselves.
And being themselves and just being nerds.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I have a lot of not a lot. I kind of cut these people out of my life. But there are people out there that are like, "Oh, you know, fucking nerds or whatever." And then they go like every Sunday and they start screaming at their television about a quarterback that
Yeah, I
didn't.
was gonna say, yeah, sports.
Yeah, and I'm like, you're doing the exact same thing.
Just a
You're
different.
doing it.
Yeah,
That's what we do.
you're
But
nerds about football.
yeah,
That's just more socially acceptable, kind of. Well,
and
because
not
like
so much
anime's
anymore.
yeah,
Pop
anime's
culture's
popping
huge.
off so hard now, but yeah, I think that's awesome. I love that. That's like it's coming out of the woodworks. Like I'm gonna be 35, and I was like, I came up in a time where anime was like just you were a super nerd if you loved that shit.
Mhm.
You know, if you were still watching cartoons in high school, which I 100% was, I still watching SpongeBob, Avatar: The Last Airbender, Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball Z. You were just a huge fucking nerd, and now it's cool to kind of see like 30-something-year-olds really embracing that culture, getting it tattooed, you know,
Mhm.
cosplaying, going to these conventions. I don't know. I just love it.
It's a really nice community that we set up. If you're, you know, most of us are being very, very like respectable
Yeah.
and respected. And it's a really awesome thing to kind of be a part of. And I think tattooing these characters that everybody loves is kind of just an extension of our gratitude for this
Hmm.
society, for this culture. And it's actually it's very beautiful, honestly.
Hmm. I
Like,
mean, we have a blast when we're tattooing. Like,
oh yeah.
yeah, like when we're tattooing these characters, we're usually just riffing on each other, but we connect with most of these characters, and if we don't know who it is, we're still having a blast doing it because we love the animation or we love the ideology behind it. But it's a it's just a fun, rich community, and I love that like it's bled over so much into tattooing that you could just like I like to joke around that like I didn't do super well in high school. I did okay, but I would get in trouble a lot because I would just draw characters on my homework. You remember the header on like the lined paper?
Hmm.
I would have like one character on one side fighting another character on another side. So like Goku doing a Kamehameha, and it would be like uh, Cloud from Final Fantasy VII blocking. And I would get notes from my teacher. If you put as much time into your, you know, your work as you did your drawings, like, you know, you
You
would
could
be,
be
yeah,
successful.
you'd be this thing. And I've, I gotta say, I'm not a petty person. But boy, was I fucking right.
Yeah.
I was doing my homework without even knowing it because look at me now.
Yeah.
Like,
And you know what I
I'm
used to
drawing
do?
that shit on people for money.
What I used to do, I used to make little stick figure flip books with the
Oh,
like
you want the animation route?
yeah,
Like that's rad. Hell
because
yeah.
I would do like it would be on my one of my science books or something like that, and I would literally just be like, and I would just draw, and then he's like doing a backflip and he throwing like a knife at another stick figure, and then like I would just flip the pages on the edge of the science book, and I'm like,
I remember that
yeah.
kind of being a thing for a while too. Like
I bought so many post-it notes
you just
because of that thing. Because I was just kind of like, for a solid, I have a very weird personality. Like like I'm very like, this is my entire fucking life, and then one day I just won't do
it's
it anymore.
nothing. Yeah.
And then like, and I hyper fixate on it, and then one day I'm like, oh okay, never mind, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, and that's been my life for 32 years. So like for like a solid like 6, 7, 8 months of my life, I was I I bought so many post-it notes. I'm
I hope
talking
there's a box of this somewhere. I gotta see like
I'm
old
sure it is,
school.
but it's literally like the same animations, or like I give one a hat, or like the next one I'm like setting one on fire, like a stick figure. This might be
I
I
was
might
gonna
need to go
say,
to
I was like,
therapy.
yeah, I was like a teacher finds this and is like, you like
Is
goes
this
to
a
your,
cry for help?
it goes to your mom is like, so your kid's really creative. That's cool. He's burning people. Like he's
He's
throwing knives at people.
but it was a cool way, like a cool creative outlet that I had
For
for
sure.
like a very small part of my life, and stuff like that is awesome. But at the same time, I grew up in an era when, my teachers would look at that and be like, go to the, you know, go to detention.
That's
And I'm like, you're not like fulfilling what, like you're not stoking that flame that's inside me. You know what I mean? And I don't know how it is now, but
oh
I've
yeah.
I've seen that it's a lot better, and people are more encouraging when it comes to certain things like that. So who knows? Maybe it's
Well, social media kind of helps you find those support systems that was hard for us to find when we were younger. Like, you had to really go out there and find other people that were like you. And if you didn't, you were just weird on your own or you tried to conform, which this is cool because it kind of leads into like another interesting thing that we can talk about where it's like when we were you know, coming up, like, obviously we probably didn't have the support of our parents. I know I didn't.
mhm.
Being a tattooer, they're super cool now. I just want to say that I love my parents. They're delightful people. I have two sets of really cool parents. And, but there is definitely a time where they were really not supportive of me taking the creative route in life. I did music for a long time and I was always drawing and then I wanted to lean into tattooing really hard. Um, and just kind of how like you know following your own dreams when there wasn't really support from like the people older than you who are wise and who had been through it and you're like that's even more terrifying almost where you're like these people have gone through the shit and they don't support what I'm doing. I haven't gone through the shit but I'm going to do it anyways.
Mhm.
And that is it's really horrifying but it's cool to kind of see like we watched the early days of tattooing making its way into mainstream,
Mhm.
coming out of being this taboo thing from like the 60s 70s and 80s and then watching it become like TV shows and stuff like that. So like yeah
It
it's
is
just
currently the best time to be a tattoo artist.
100%. Yeah, like I
It's more accepted, and I read somewhere. I know this has no there's no
bearing.
there's no bearing on that, but I did read somewhere that most Americans have at least one tattoo.
Yeah,
Like
no, I
it's
believe
actually
that.
more unpopular to not have a tattoo in the United States
I
if
love
you're
that
over the
shift.
age of if you're over the age of 18, obviously, but like most people aged 18 and over have a
Dude,
tattoo.
do you remember the first time you went to a Target and you saw a hand tattoo, a neck tattoo?
Mm.
That blew my fucking mind, dude. Because like when I first was getting tattoos, I kind of went like the Travis Barker route. I started getting my lower arms tattooed. That was punk rock back then. It
Mm.
was like you get your lower arms tattooed because they're job killers. So it was like that's crazy that was a job killer tattoo at one point in time,
Mm.
and now it's a relatively conservative tattoo to have. And now I'm seeing like 18 and 19-year-old kids at Target. And I'm like,
Covered.
yeah. And I'm like, what the fuck? I
I
was like,
just
that's
tattooed.
awesome.
I just tattooed an 18-year-old a few days ago.
Bro, I was at Disney and I was like, what is happening? This is awesome. There's
Yeah,
so many people with tattoos. I was like, this is
yeah.
fucking incredible. It's not just the best time to be a tattooer or even just a pop culture tattooer. It's the best time to get tattoos, express yourself, be you, and not worry about it destroying opportunities for you.
Hmm.
Like there's still, some things that might be difficult to get
Things here and
into.
there. I
But
knew it was a turn for the better in our favor as soon as Disney and Universal
yeah,
lifted their ban on tattoos. It
Disney
was
did
like,
it first. Did you know that?
yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember going to Universal and I saw those like tight sleeve things, and I was like, wait, Disney beat you guys to the tattoo punchline? I was like, I thought like you guys are supposed to be the cooler company.
yeah. And it was funny because uh, even the military is like lax on the tattoos, or there are certain places that you can't get a tattoo, like the face or the neck or anything like that. But they're a lot more lax than they were when I was in, because I had a few tattoos on my forearm, um, and there was one day that they implemented a rule where you can't get any more tattoos.
Mm.
The tattoos that you have are fine; you're going to get grandfathered in, but you can't get any more as long as you are a member of the United States military. No tattoos, no more. You're done. So what they would do is they would shuffle everybody into an area, and they would take a picture of us, take a picture of all of our tattoos, and then put it in our folder and be like, okay, that's fine. And then the next time, if you were to get a new tattoo, they would look back and be like, did he have it already? And if he did, then that's fine. And if he didn't, you would get reprimanded. And a reprimand could also mean an Article 15, which is pretty much like, you super fucked up, you're fucked for a while now. But they did that, and I was actually tasked to go to another company that day. So my company was doing all those photos, and they tasked me out because they were doing like flu shots, and I was a medic. They were doing flu shots at another company, and they wanted me to be there, and they wanted me to do them. And I was like, okay, fine. I came back to my company later that day, and all the pictures were already taken.
Oh, so you're
So I was just like, they didn't take my picture.
you're like, I'm gonna go get tattooed.
So, and that's exactly what I did. So I started slowly getting tattooed, and all of the guys in my platoon, like even my platoon sergeant, he was like, is that another tattoo? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, just, like, don't
Be chill about it.
be
Don't
super
go
chill.
bragging.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, oh, it's crazy how I got a tattoo and I'm not getting reprimanded. Isn't that weird?
yeah, don't rub it in anybody's face. You know what I mean?
But yeah, but ever since that, there was a huge dip in recruitment
Be-
because
I was
of
gonna
the
say,
tattoos.
I feel like I'd seen that a lot, where there was a lot of like back and forth, like just from the
It is.
outside.
It's
It would be like 1 year, have tattoos as long as they're not bigger, as long as your hand can cover them. Have as
mhm.
many tattoos on your arm as you want, as long as your hand can cover each one. And then they'd get in as many people as they needed, and they're like, "All right, we're done. We don't like tattoos anymore."
Yeah.
And then
That's
they're
honestly what it felt like,
yeah, it was
because
like a wave.
like when I was in there, they were like, okay, so there was a huge dip in recruitments, and then they're like, okay, we gotta open up the
Yeah, okay, you
floodgates.
can have a couple
It's like, all right,
tattoos.
fine, you can have tattoos, and then they threw all those folders out. Like they were just like, all right, well, fuck it, who cares anymore? So they opened the floodgates up, and now you can have tattoos
To
as
be
long as they don't cover your face or your neck or
To
whatever.
be fair, if I was like, I don't know, if I was in charge of like that rule in the military, I'd be like, I would want my military to look as badass as possible. I'm like, yeah, get as many tattoos as you want, man. Because like, if you're out there and you're in war as some like brolicky, beefy dude with like,
Mhm.
or anybody that has like, throat tattoos, a beard, face
It's like,
tattoos, is
fuck.
chasing you down, I'm like, yeah, and like, I mean, why do you think UFC fighters look so intense? They're so
Yeah.
gnarly looking, and I'm like, yeah, I would not fuck with that person. They're already terrifying looking, and you just add all these tattoos to them. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not messing with that person.
Yeah, so I'm glad that they're a lot more mainstream now, which
Yeah,
is it's
encourage tattoos for the military, make them look more intense.
yeah, if you're thinking about going into a recruitment office, go get a tattoo first and then go into the recruitment office.
Get
Show
covered,
them you
then
mean
go.
business. Yeah. Get like a tattoo of like the American flag on your chest, and then like a
Just
fucking the Declaration of Independence just written on your back. Do it. No,
that's
no.
his advice. That's not mine.
It's 100% my advice.
Do the anime tattoo.
If you
like,
do that, please tag me in whatever photo you have.
just Brian, not me.
Tag me and him. He wants to see it too.
But tattoo culture has changed. Pop culture has influenced it more, and now like you see it everywhere. Like, I mean, every restaurant I go to, I'm being served by somebody who's covered in tattoos. Going to Target, and for me, it's crazy. There's older tattooers that kind of hate it because they when they were young, you know, it felt like a club. Like you'd earn this. It's a very punk rock thing. You're like, I live this lifestyle and I'm proud about it, and it's unaccepted and it takes courage to do it. And that's cool. I respect that. Like it did take courage to kind of do that back then, and then nowadays it's very fashionable. I'll say that I'm on the end of that spectrum where I'm like, I love that people can express themselves. I
Yeah,
love
that
that to
doesn't.
pieces.
I kind of I respect their decision, but also, I mean, like, get over yourself. Like,
Yeah.
like at this point in 2023, it's like the first person who wore like bell bottoms. You know,
Yeah.
he's just like, like, I
I'm
don't care what
different.
I'm different. I don't care what people think about me. Like, this is gonna be it. And then it finally takes off, and then you get upset that everybody else is wearing bell
It's like
bottoms.
it's like when you know, a band makes it big and then you have those elitists that are like, well, yeah, I remember them when like no one knew who they were and they were playing like, you
It's
know,
like, okay, cool, good for
I was
fucking
there when
you.
there was like 20 people at that show. And I think with like it's like weird. I get it cuz you do feel that sort of special connection.
Yeah.
But
You could shoehorn it into a conversation. That's
yeah,
fine, but don't be like a
it depends on how you go about
pretentious.
it. Like if I was a tattooer and I came up and I was like in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, I'd be like, it's really cool to kind of see how it's evolved, how it's been more accepted and stuff like that. But there was a, you know, there was a uniqueness to a time where it felt earned because you were you loved it so much that you knew you were ostracizing yourself out of society,
Mm.
and that there was like a sort of discipline or a work to it. So I can see that. But you can't really fight progress. You can't, you know, like, and
No,
if
that's
you
the
get
whole
to
point
a
of
point to
progress.
where an 18-year-old or 30-year-old's getting their face tattooed, and if that helps them feel more comfortable in their skin, like that's awesome. You know, I've seen a lot of, there is a person I tattooed, it was a Digimon tattoo on their arm, and they had a lot of self-harm scars,
Mm.
and there is like something so rad about them getting this tattoo where a lot of people would look at their arm and, you know, have like worry or sorrow or anything, you know, and it would always remind them that that was there. And then I blasted over with this tattoo, and now people look at their arm, it's like she cried when she got the tattoo from me, because she's like, people will look at this and not see that, they'll see something beautiful. And
Mm.
I was like, see, that's
And
super cool.
not only will they see something beautiful, they'll see something that is actually reminiscent of who she
Yeah,
really is.
she overcame this,
Hmm.
and it's a powerful sentiment, and it's like she's not saying don't look at my arm, but look at my arm for this instead of that.
Hmm.
And so it's like I'm super happy to see people feel comfortable getting tattoos that make them happy and make them feel more comfortable in their skin. So it's like I understand where some of the, you know, the older heads come from, you know, like, but I'm like, don't be celebrate the past, and be welcoming of the change. And I think too, it's kind of, we had a, when we were in New York, we had a similar discussion where it's like,
Oh, the old man in the
yeah,
bar.
where I was like, you helped pave the way so that it was easier for the next generation. So
You
those
should be
like,
proud of
yeah, be
yourself.
proud of that. Be proud that like you had the courage to go out into a society being who you are, you know, unapologetically. You went out into the world and you were yourself, and you got ostracized. You didn't get accepted into restaurants. You know, you probably didn't get the house that you wanted because they saw you and didn't want you in their neighborhood. But you were yourself unapologetically. You had the courage to do that. You kept doing it, and you helped force the world around you to change so that other people can feel comfortable in their skin the way that you do. And I think that's awesome. And so I was like, and so instead of being an elitist and instead of saying, well, you need to go what I went through and earn those tattoos, be like, no, dude, you paved the way so that other people didn't have to go through what you went through and they can feel comfortable in their own skin. So I was like, that's the way I would look at it if I came from that. And in a way I still kind of do, because when I got tattoos, I was started getting tattooed in 2008, I think, and most places still wouldn't hire you if you had
Hmm.
arm tattoos. Um,
Or they would have you cover them up.
yeah, so it was like I felt like I was a part of that continuation of challenging that status quo of still being like, nope, I'm gonna be myself. I'm gonna push this, and I'm gonna push it, and then now when I go to like Target or Starbucks or anywhere, and I see, people just being themselves covered in tattoos, I'm like, that's fucking awesome, man. Part of the generation that helped make sure that shit pushed forward so that you could go to Disney.
No, yeah.
You could go to Disney and see people be themselves covered in tattoos. That's a beautiful fucking thing, dude.
Great time to be alive.
The first time I saw that, I was like, I'm at Disney World right now. There's people with tattoos that are working here. I was like, dude, I could have just walked up and fist bumped every one of those fucking people.
That's awesome. But yeah, that seems to be a really good end to this episode.
How sentimental.
Yeah.
Could we just both cry
everything you said, it was very beautiful that you said, like, you're very eloquent with how you worded all that stuff. So good job.
Thank you. I'll probably forget what I said.
Yeah. I was like, what were you saying? Tattoos are good.
Tattoos are get them.
Go get them.
Get them. Get them from us.
Yeah. Link is down in the description. My name again is BeeRye Tattoos.
I'm JP Tronwalker.
You can find us with those names on
We're wearing
Instagram.
each other's shirts. Pee pee poo poo.
You can't get that anymore.
Not yet, but you can soon.
Yeah. And JP's new shirt, which I don't know if I could stand and do this, but he has a big titted lady back here, and it makes me look good. So
yeah, he wears it well.
Yeah.
Good job, Brian. I made that shirt
model.
For you.
Yeah. Right. But thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you later. Mm-hmm. Bye.